What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast. We're talking about the latest greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers. Those people of color have made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
Chris Apricot.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So, welcome to the Wednesday episode. So, if you have not already, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. I have interviews coming out, so definitely check that out. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from darkreading.com, written by Robert Lemos. And the title of this one is Tariffs May Prompt Increase in Global Cyber Attacks, right? So you got all these cybersecurity and policy experts, and they say if the tariffs give way to a global recession, right, that's the reason behind it, because the tariffs will start a recession. But what you'll have is organizations will start spending less money on cybersecurity, right? Like that's usually one of the first cuts when it comes to these companies. They'll start looking at their cybersecurity and their IT departments, right? And that's the fear, right? So it's not the forward thinking of it that they should be doing. Like when you start cutting your cybersecurity department, like you don't worry about the loss until it actually hits you, right? So all of a sudden you have that breach that's costing you, tens of thousands or $1 million a day. Then all of a sudden you're like, man, why are we in this position? Well, because you cut half your staff, right? That was looking out for these different types of threats and things of that nature. And it's just kind of how it is, right? That's the way of the world. Like we have not gotten to a point where it's like the preventative nature of cybersecurity should be on the forefront when it comes to the C-suite, right? We're just not there yet. And that's pretty much what he's getting into, is that companies cutting where they think they can lose it the most. And we've talked about it in the previous article even, right? We're talking about how that's one of the things that'll get cut in the financial aspect of it. But again, not thinking of the second and third order effects. This is where it can hurt, right? And it's gonna hurt. If we do go into a recession, you better believe these companies are gonna be like, all right, we gotta cut. Because here's another thing you have to think about, right? The people that are in those positions are also getting paid a little bit better as well, right? When you look at your IT departments and the people that do your cybersecurity, you're looking at jobs to where they're paying them a little bit better than it is somebody that's on the phone making sales, right? The return on investment, the ROI for the sales folks, it's a lot better for them than it is for the cybersecurity folks, is their thinking, right? Not to have the forward thinking they should have, but it's just the way of the world. I agree. Like what he's saying, I agree. That's exactly what's going to happen if the world ends up going into a recession. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, first thing is increase in cyber attacks, right? I think when you have a huge shift in geopolitics in the world sphere of things, right, of specifically these tariffs, right, they're causing a lot of damage to certain individuals and in industries, right? So I think from the cybercrime perspective, it's like there's going to be so much more opportunity for cybercrime, right, to find these weak points in, like, during these trade negotiations, right? They want to know which industries are impacted. Those industries that are going to be heavily tariffed and affected by the tariff, like Shannon said, probably going to weaken their posture. So cybercrime, on those specific companies might be going up right now, while those companies might have to be forced to cut their assets, more targets can go onto them. So they're going to have to rethink this. And I think this is definitely a big warning, right? So definitely it's extremely important to ensure that an organization, hey, don't cut your cybersecurity efforts, especially if you can be impacted by these tariffs, right? You're going to be a softer target according to some of these cyber criminals, right? I think one cool headline here is there's no tariffs on cybercrime. They don't care. They do not care, right? So I think they do mention an example here following the COVID-19 pandemic as companies embrace digital transformation, the critical vulnerabilities of organizations in the financial sector increased by 185%. And that's just one sector. So think about that. Like your attack surface might increase due to these tariffs because of, those factors regarding budget, right? Your operations may cease, right? Because of, tariffs and things like that. So operational technology, things like that could be affected. And that could be prime for cybercrime, ransomware. They're not working today. They're finally not updating anything. Let's get them, right? So think about it like that. And then really when it comes down to it, I think coming back to our old past article, government funding on this, super important. I really hope CISA gets that grant program going to help assist these companies.
I think you guys are spot on. I wanted to highlight a number. It's estimated that last year, 2024, cybercrime cost $9.5 trillion US worldwide. So just think of what that money could be used for instead. anything else than paying ransom and fixing things that are broken and having to stand up teams and things of that nature that you didn't have originally. It's a lot of churn, a lot of, I don't even know what you call it, negative economy. I mean, money that could be spent elsewhere. I would like to highlight that number. But from this article, I thought he brought up a good point about hacktivists. You don't really think of them that frequently. Like it happens. You see like Anonymous and other organizations take advantage and they pop up and they do things. But with all of the unrest and just how people feel about politics and all that stuff, they're going to start ramping up. And what's the worst time to do it? During the potential recession, as well as the lowering of cybersecurity standards. So is this going to add to the cluster and just cause us more consternation? It's going to happen, unfortunately. Hopefully, it doesn't impact us that much, but just think of the additive effect of, okay, now we're having a global recession. People are tighter with their money. Companies are starting to shed their cybersecurity departments, potentially, at least, the higher earners within those departments. And on top of it, oh wait, there's a new hacktivist campaign that shut down whatever sector because they're trying to spread their message or what have you. So 2025 could be pretty cantankerous, so to speak. So hopefully none of that comes to fruition. Hopefully, we don't have the negative economy impacts. Hopefully people will decide to keep their cyber departments healthy and strong, and then there won't be target on everybody's back when it comes to those wanting to speak out politically through cyber means, right? That's the hope. Optimistic, even though almost half the year is gone now.
Are people going to care when the price of eggs and groceries and gas becomes unaffordable, right? Like, is that really what they're going to be paying attention to, right? Like, there's other things. Like, if there was a recession, they're not thinking about cybersecurity. They're like, I can't afford these things I used to. I can't go on the vacation I used to. The Switch 2 is not going to get is not going to get sent out. It's nobody,
Breaking my heart.
I'm just saying, like, it's stuff like that to where even with it all happening, and as much as we may say we need to keep our eye on the target when it comes to this, people just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that's in the forefront and until, you have like a Mr. Cooper situation or a T-Mobile situation where people start to actually get impacted, where they're getting phone calls and their credit's getting stolen and, et cetera. That's when people care, right? So we'll see. Like if they, God forbid, were to take down government websites, right, to protest and things of that nature, and people can't access, can't get their meds or they can't book appointments, so on and so forth, or they don't receive a check, that they're supposed to receive. That's when they get their attention. But those are also red lines, right? Like hopefully we don't get to those places that of extreme discomfort. Who's to say? Well, welcome to the Doom and Gloom podcast. So hopefully none of this comes to fruition, right? Like everything settles out before the end of the year. We get to some state of normalcy. But continue to check us out throughout the week. Again, Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, ask a CSSP. And then Fridays, everything else. Movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. Hit us up by all the websites. Go by our name. The Other Side of the Firewall. The Other Side of the FW. Or ask a CSSP. Hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much everywhere, but LinkedIn is where I'm most responsive. And you, Chris?
I'm on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Avicon. Last name is spelled A. Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.